Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Mustafa Mohamed Botri, and in today's tutorial we are actually going to consider one of JavaScript high order functions, which is the find method. And the find method, just like any other JavaScript high order function, takes a callback function and then it returns an item. So for instance, someone may consider using the filter method to return a single item, and that is not the best way to go about things. So for instance, let's consider this list that we have a list of fruits, right? And maybe if we want to get a single fruit, for instance, let's say mango, right? Someone may go by saying, let's say constant fruit is equal to the list dot filter, for instance, if the person is using the filter method, and then the person may do for every item in there, they want to get the item whose ID, for instance, is equal to 2, because that's the ID for mango, right? And then they may console log the fruit, right? So for instance, if we console log this, the filter method actually retains an array. That's what it does. It retains an array by itself. So if we refresh this, we get what? We actually get an array, right? So if the person wants to grab that particular lone element in this array, then they have to specify the index of 0, right? And then when they refresh the page, you realize that you get the single item in there. But the filter method is best used when you want to return an array in itself. If you want to return an array based on a particular logic, so this is where the find method becomes very handy. So the find method basically returns an item in an array, so you don't need to specifically specify an index. When you are done, it actually grabs the item in that array and then it returns it. So if we want to grab the item, for instance, for mango, which is this one, we can just do constant fruit is equal to list dot, then we use the find method, so we just do find for. So if we do the find, we are saying that go through all the items inside the list and then just grab the item whose ID is equal to 2. And if we run this and we refresh our page, we realize that we get that. If we change the ID to, for instance, 7, and we save, if we reload, we realize that we get the item for the blueberry. We didn't have to specify an index over here like we did when it was for filter. So you best use the filter when you want to return, for instance, an array. So in this particular instance, we realize that and all the items inside the list array has quantity, right? So this has a quantity of 2, 12, 5, 13, 13, and then what? 1, and then 7. So if you want to return all the for instance fruits whose quantity is above 10, that is when we use something like the filter. Okay, so let me copy this and comment this out. So then if we use the filter, it makes sense, because then we are saying that return all the item whose quantity is above what? Whose quantity is above 10. So if we run this, if we save and run this, realize that we get, oh, sorry. Yeah, whose quantity is above. So it's supposed to be greater than, not equal to. So if we save and run this, realize that we actually get an array of all the items or all the fruit whose quantity is above what? Is above 10. So this is when you use how do you call it, the filter array. You use the filter array to return an array in itself, and then you use the you use the filter method, you use the filter method to return an array, okay, from an array, and then you use the find method to return a single item from an array. Okay, so I hope this tutorial is useful to you. I've been busy learning Python, and I'm currently back on making tutorials, so I'll be making a lot of few JavaScript tutorials, and I may consider doing some Python tutorial too, but in the near future. So I hope this tutorial is useful to you. and then you may implement it in any of your JavaScript projects and stuff like that. So thank you, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.